to the Dean of Graduate School Education, Dr. Jima N. Quintanar, the panelists, my fellow MAED students, good day everyone. I am here to present to you my concept paper entitled Mediating Effect of Organizational Transition on the Relationship between Psychological Well-being and Teachers' Satisfaction. Introduction. Problem situation. Every school organization will go through a transition or change at some point in order to remain viable and scale, whether it's onboarding new employees, expanding a department, or merging with another company. These changes can have a significant impact on an organization's trajectory. Unfortunately, organizational change in schools is not always easy to adapt to and to be intimidating for all employees. Various studies demonstrated the impact of organizational change on employees. According to poll in 2017, workers who experienced change were more than twice as likely to report chronic work stress compared to employees who reported to no recent, current, or anticipated change, and more than 4 times as likely to report experiencing physical health symptoms at work. Employees who reported being affected by organizational change currently or within the previous year reported lower levels of job satisfaction when compared to employees who reported no recent, current, or anticipated change. According to the poll, the same study found that working Americans were skeptical about the outcomes of organizational change, with 43% confident that changes would have the desired effects and 28% almost certain that changes would work as intended and achieve their goals. Furthermore, it is discovered that this is an impact of change management on the employee's performance in quality educational institution in its combined dimension: technological change, cultural change, structural change, and human change, whereas there are statistical differences in the impact of change management on the employee's performance in quality educational institution through the modified role of organizational structure. Factors influence the dependent variable. Several studies have confirmed the relationship between organizational change, psychological well-being, and job satisfaction. According to Garg and Rastogi of 2019, psychological well-being is concerned with an individual's assessment of their ongoing happiness, satisfaction with their physical and mental health, and how it relates to some psychosocial factors such as life satisfaction. Furthermore, Jono in 2009 discovered that organizational commitment acts as a mediator between perceived efficacy of organizational change processes and job satisfaction, meaning perceived effectiveness or organizational change process leads to an effective or affective bond with the organization, which leads to job satisfaction. Research gap. Therefore, change is unavoidable in organizations, and which is occurs. Leadership frequently underestimate the impact of those changes on employees. Several studies on organizational change and employee performance have been conducted, but none of them investigate the impact of organizational change on teacher satisfaction using different variables such as psychological well-being. Relevance of the study. The researcher will examine the mediating effect of organizational transition on the relationship between psychological well-being and teacher satisfaction in this study, and the findings will be useful to school leaders in developing programs to reduce stress and anxiety and improve teachers' mental health. The findings of the study, on the other hand, will serve as the foundation of an intervention program as well as additional literature for school administration and leadership. Personal intervention, particularly in notable areas that can be addressed on a personal level. Research question. This study aimed to determine the mediating effect of organizational transition on the relationship between psychological well-being and teacher satisfaction. Specifically, this study sought answer to the following question. Number 1, what is the level of organizational transition in terms of awareness of change, acceptance of the change, capacity for change, knowledge of what is changing, and training needed. Number 2, what is the level of psychological well-being in terms of autonomy, environmental mastery, purpose in life, personal growth, positive relations, and self-acceptance? Number 3, what is the level of teacher satisfaction in terms of work and workplace, supervision and management, benefits and rewards, recognition, and communication? Number 4, is there any significance between organizational transition and psychological well-being and teacher satisfaction, and organizational transition and teacher satisfaction? Number 5, does psychological well-being significantly mediate the relationship between organizational transition and teacher satisfaction? Framework. This research is based on Cohen's in 1999 theory that organizational changes can occur in any areas of an organization. In today's competitive markets, typical organizational changes include the introduction of new technologies, workforce restructuring, job redesign, and downsizing. Another theory proposed by Buchanan and McCallman in 1989 on perpetual transition management provides critical insight into what causes organizational change as well as how organizations respond to change. The model processes 4 key layers and the interlocking management processes that bring about change in an organization. The literature is unequivocal in stating that how the change process is managed has a direct impact on the behavior of the organization's workforces. As a result, it appears important and logical to understand how the perceived evaluation of change affects the relationship between the individual and the organization. The primary goal of this study is to better understand the role of psychological well-being in mediating the relationship between organizational transition and teacher job satisfaction. Organizational transition. Transition is the psychological process people go through to come to terms with a new situation. Organizational change refers to the action in which a company or business alters an organizational transition, teacher satisfaction, psychological well-being, major components of its organization, such as its culture, the underlying technologies or infrastructure it uses to operate, or its internal processes. According to Bridge in 1991, if transition is not handled successfully, the goals for which it was intended are undermined. Individuals become immune to it. Efficiency suffers, costs rise, and the transition itself may be abandoned. Level of awareness of the change. The respondent's awareness of the change is an important metric to include on the change management assessment questionnaire. If an individual or group that needs to adopt a new process is unaware that this project is taking place or that it will have an impact on what they do, this indicates a lack of readiness. Awareness is the first step toward being ready for change. It comes before someone can even be a support of a change or have knowledge to what the change means for their job or role. Level of acceptance of the change. The individual's or group's level of acceptance of the change is another important metric for assessing change readiness. In the organizational change questionnaires, this may also be referred to as their level of support for the project. If those who must change their workflows as a result of a project are unhappy with it and have a low level of acceptance, it will be more difficult to prepare them for the project's go-live date. More engagement, training, and resistance management will be required to increase acceptance and support for the transit system. Level of capacity for change. The capacity for change is an important metric that you may not find in all organizational change questionnaires templates. If people do not have the time to learn the necessary post-go-live behaviors, processes, or tools, the project may fail. The group will be unprepared because they did not have enough time to prepare. Perhaps they have been through too many changes recently and have change burnout. It is critical to ask respondents to an organizational readiness for change questionnaire to select level or their level of change capacity so that the change management team can anticipate and mitigate this potential barrier to readiness. Level of knowledge about what is changing. Before groups and individuals can prepare for a change, they must first understand what is changing in their workflow. Your organizational change readiness survey should ask how much people understand about what is changing. A lack of understanding about what will change indicates that more communications and engagement are required to prepare the group for the transition. Level of training needed. Once the project impacted stakeholders have a basic understanding of what is changing, they must be trained in order to successfully navigate the transition. The scope of the project and the changes taking place will determine whether training is required and how formal that training should be. If any type of training or education is required to help users become proficient in the new state, they are expected to adopt a level of training question should be included on the Change Management Readiness Assessment Questionnaire. Psychological well-being. Psychological well-being, developed by Carol Reff in 1989, determines 6 factors which contribute to an individual's psychological well-being: contentment and happiness. Psychological well-being consists of autonomy, environmental mastery, and purpose in life, personal growth, positive relations, and acceptance. Generally, well-being has been characterized from 2 perspectives. The clinical perspective specifies well-being as the lack of negative states, and the psychological perspective defines well-being as the figure of positive attributes. Autonomy. Autonomy is the regulation of one's own behavior through an internal locus of control. A fully functioning person has a high level of internal evaluation, assessing the self on personal standards and achievement while not relying on the standard of others. A high level of autonomy suggests independence, with a low level suggesting concern over self-perception. Internal locus of control is an important component of motivation, with athletes generally requiring autonomy, personal insight, and subjectivity in order to sustain self-confidence and belief. Environmental mastery. Environmental mastery refers to choosing the controlling the surrounding and imagined environment through physical and or mental actions, while a high level of environmental mastery reflects control over one's context. A low level is related to inability to successfully control one's environment. A mature individual is generally able to interact and relate to a variety of people in diverse situations and adapt to various contexts upon demand. Personal growth. Personal growth is the ability to develop and expand the self to become a fully functioning person, to self-actualize and accomplish goals. This requires one to continually evolve and solve problems, thereby expanding one's talents and abilities. An elevated level of personal growth is associated with continued development, while a depleted level is suggestive of a lack of growth. Purpose in life. Purpose in life refers to the perceived significance of one's existence and involve the setting and reaching of goals, which contribute to the appreciation of life. Mental health includes awareness that one has a greater goal and purpose in life. Purpose in life creates direction, thereby eradicating despondency. Goals are an important part of striving for success. Maturity involves having a clear sense of intentionality. Positive relations. Having positive relations with others is an essential component in the development of trusting and lasting relationships, as well as belonging to a network of communication and support. A calm and relaxed approach reflects maturity, leads to improved interaction and better consideration of others. While good relation results in an understanding of others, poor relation can cause frustration. Self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is the most recurring aspect of psychological well-being. It is a fundamental feature of mental health and an element of optimal functioning. Healthy levels of self-acceptance create a positive attitude and improve satisfaction with life. Moderate levels of confidence lead to greater achievement and acceptance. Teacher satisfaction. According to some researchers, the study of the concept of job satisfaction began in 1918. Others, however, stated that the study of work attitude began in 1912, was highlighted by the Hawthorne studies in 1920, and eventually a systematic approach to studying job satisfaction was initiated in the 1930s. Job satisfaction is regarded as an important concept to investigate because it is relevant from both humanitarian and utilitarian standpoint. Work and workplace. Work is the utilization of psychological and mental processes to achieve goal or accomplish a task. Workplace refers to the place of the work or to the place where work is done. It is also called work environment. According to some authors, service firms invest more on their workforce in order to maintain long-term relationship with them and to increase their performance along with job satisfaction. Supervision and management. Supervision is the activity of managing a department, project, etc., and of making sure that they are done correctly and according to the rules. Management is the activity or job of being in charge of a company, organization, department, a team of employees. Supervision is an important aspect of educational management because it can improve the quality of educational organizations. It can also combine discrete elements of instruction into whole school actions. Benefit and reward. Benefit is a helpful service given to employees in addition to their pay or to someone else who needs help. It is a form of non-cash compensation which your employer usually states in your contract. Reward refers to something given in exchange for useful idea, good behavior, excellent work, or etc. It is a motivational tool used to get the best from your employees. Teachers were found to be less satisfied with extrinsic rewards and more satisfied with intrinsic features such as responsibility, flexibility, and job variety by Houston. Respect, pay, and benefits. The organization's vision management system, work environment, result, feedback, and motivation were identified as factors responsible for teachers' satisfaction. Recognition. It is the act of praising or rewarding someone for something they have done. It demonstrates to employees that their company appreciates them and their contributions to the success of their team and the company as a whole. This is especially important as organizations grow and change. It helps employees feel secure in their value of the company, which motivates them to keep up the good work. Next is communication. It is the process by which messages or information is sent from one place or person to another, or the message itself. It is also the exchange of information and the expression of feeling that can result in understanding. communication in our daily lives help us build relationships by allowing us to share our experiences and needs, as well as connect with others. It is the essence of life, allowing us to express our emotions, share information, and share our thoughts. We all need to communicate. Method. Research design. The quantitative research method will be used in the study with a descriptive correlational design. Quantitative research is concerned with numbers, logic, and an objective viewpoint. Quantitative research focuses on numerical and unchanging data, as well as detailed, convergent rather than divergent reasoning, and the generation of a variety of ideas about a research problem. Its primary characteristics are as follows. Typical structured research instruments are used to collect data. The findings are based on larger population representative sample sizes. Given in its high reliability, the research study can usually be replicated or repeated. Our researcher will collect numerical data using tools such as questionnaires or computer software. This study also used the descriptive correlational design, which uses statistical data to determine the extent of our relationship between two or more variables. The descriptive design was used to gather information about the current state of the phenomenon being described. Furthermore, it is a fact-finding study that allowed the researcher to examine study participants' characteristics, behavior, and experiences. In addition, the correlational design will be used to determine the strength and the nature of the relationship between two or more variables. The levels of organizational transition, psychological well-being, and teacher satisfaction will be determined to this study. Respondents. The selected teachers of private school in Eastern Thailand, school year 2022 and 2023 will be the respondents of the study. The researcher will employ purposive sampling as discussed in Human's article in 1967. This technique is a type of non-probability sampling in which the researcher makes decisions about which individuals to include in the sample based on a variety of criteria such as specialist knowledge of the research issue or capacity and willingness to participate in the research. The participating schools will be chosen for the researcher's convenience in terms of distance and accessibility, as well as in accordance with the school administration's permission to conduct the survey questionnaires. Research instruments. Adapted survey questionnaires will be used in the study. The questionnaires will be divided into three sets: organizational transition, psychological well-being, and teacher satisfaction. For organizational change, the survey questionnaires is adapted from OCM solution, formerly AGS, Ariodion Global Services, or AGS, which is later used by Stewards in 1994. Velasco in 1990, Organizational Transition, Patterson in 2005, and the Readiness for Organizational Change measure. This organizational change is composed of different indicators, namely awareness of change, acceptance of the change, capacity for change, knowledge of what is changing. The survey questionnaires will be validated and will be a tool for decide whether to retain, revise, or reject the indicators, after which the correction of the experts will be incorporated into the final draft. Psychological well-being questionnaires. This tool is adapted from Springer and Hauser in 2006, which contains a series of statements reflecting the 6 areas of psychological well-being: autonomy, environmental mastery, personal growth, positive relationships with others, purpose in life, and self-acceptance. Teacher Satisfaction Questionnaire. It is a 62-item questionnaire with 9 constructs to be adapted and modified from. Designed to measure the level of job satisfaction of teachers. Questionnaire will be validated, the tool for them to decide whether to retain, revise, or reject the indicators, after which The correction of the experts will be incorporated into the final draft. It will be then pilot tested to teachers who will not include as the respondents of the study. Statistical tools. The following statistical tool will be used in the study: mean, person, product, moment correlation, regression analysis, ensemble z-test. And here are the references that researchers use. That's for today. Thank you so much.